Life, like software, can be debugged, rewritten, and optimized. After 20 years of coding software, I recoded my life. That journey defined wellness for me. A calm nervous system, steady blood sugar, trust in the body, and doing what you love. This season, I'll walk you through that transformation. In future seasons, I'll be joined by guests to deepen the conversation. In today's episode, I'll be sharing how I listen to the body's many layers of information. I'm Mary Toscano, and this is Coding Wellness. In the first few episodes, I shared how I left engineering to spend more time with my daughter Tiana, and how I ended up in massage and then nutrition school with no intention of doing either for a living. But when the stock market crashed, I took a job doing massage at a busy resort spa. And as I worked with more and more clients, I began to notice something unexpected. The stories they told matched what I was feeling under my hands. Their bodies were a direct reflection of their lives. And I got to the point where I could put my hands on someone and know things about them before they even said a word. At first, I made sense of it through logic, just patterns I picked up from repetition and experience. But in the last episode, I talked about the massages that took me beyond what logic could explain and showed me that the body is far more intelligent than I'd ever imagined. And I found I could actually tap into that intelligence during a massage, not by analyzing, but by listening as if the body itself were trying to speak. In this episode, I want to talk more about the information I was picking up from the client's body, and again, try to present this inherently unstructured information in a logical, structured way. I come at the body from a couple different angles. Part of me is still the engineer, constantly scanning for patterns. But another part treats the body like it's trying to talk, like it has something important to say. So the idea that the body holds wisdom or that it's trying to communicate is actually not really a stretch. It's already part of how we live. Think about it. People say, trust your gut all the time. Well, what is your gut? It's your body. What they're really saying is check in with your body, see how it feels, because your body knows things your mind doesn't. Have you ever thought about why the body would know more than the mind? I'm going to say something pretty out there, but I believe the body is directly connected like a plug and an outlet to a divine source of intelligence. It also mirrors a person's life and even their personality, like we talked about in episode 4. And it also holds memories, emotions, and trauma. Now, I know that might sound far-fetched, that the body can actually store memories and emotions, but I had a few glimpses that this might be true even before I became a massage therapist. The first real glimpse I had was my own stomach muscles. Ever since I can remember, I've avoided doing stomach exercises like the plague because every time I do them, I would become clinically depressed for at least a week. Doing anything with my stomach muscles stirs up these emotions that fill me full of dread, despair, and deep grief. I have no idea the memory or trauma that would cause this awfulness. Could be a lot of things. When you have a bad experience with someone and you say it feels like you got punched in the gut? Well, you kind of did. That's where the emotion lands. So my stomach muscles are like a haunted house. It's a dark and scary place. So even to this day, I avoid stomach muscle exercises. Last thing I want to do is stir up those old dreaded emotions and experience that horrible anguish. But that experience, that intense emotional reaction in just one part of my body, was my first real glimpse that the body can store memories, emotions, and trauma. The second glimpse came when I was working as an engineer. I was in the middle of changing jobs, and out of nowhere, my left shoulder started screaming in pain. So I went to see a massage therapist to try and fix it. But the person I went to turned out to be more than a massage therapist. She was some kind of high-level healer. What happened was, as she worked on my shoulder, we talked back and forth the whole session. And long story short, she believed the pain was connected to an old trauma from when I was a teenager. I was about 13 years old, trying to teach myself how to do a back handspring. I was in the basement of my childhood home in Massachusetts, on a cement floor, trying this over and over again. Seriously, how I thought this was even remotely a good idea, I have no idea. I was with my sister who was spotting me, and we did this several times successfully. But at one point, she decided I had mastered it, so she stepped back to surprise me and let me try it on my own. And I launched myself backward, thinking she was right there behind me, and I crashed hard. Landed straight on my head and left shoulder, on the cement. It was bad, really bad. So according to this healer, my shoulder pain years later was my body remembering that trauma. She said, your body doesn't like it when you try something new. And anytime you do, your left shoulder is going to scream to remind you what happened last time. So we talked to the shoulder, reassuring it, letting it know that was then, this is now. And the pain just went away. It felt like voodoo witchcraft. It was hard to believe that that could actually be the cause, but still, it planted the seed that maybe the body really could hold old trauma. Those two experiences, my stomach and my shoulder, were my first glimpses that the body can store memories, emotions, and trauma. Okay, so fast forward. Here I am working as a massage therapist. I'm getting a sense of the overall configuration of the body. I'm getting a feel for their personality through how their muscles respond. And sometimes I get these little nudges, guidance on where to go next. And then I started coming upon these areas that I can only describe as landmines. They're spots of tension where the muscle pushes back in a specific way. Sometimes it feels like a gremlin inside, protecting its territory and punching back at me. These areas feel totally different from the rest of the body. And what I came to find is that these landmine areas are often where the body is holding memories, emotions, and trauma. What I notice is not only can I feel the tension under my hands, but when I pass over one of these landmines, I often feel what's like an electrical current shoot through my body. Sometimes it's so strong I feel it all the way down to my toes. I'll actually find myself tapping my foot to release it. Other times it hits me so hard I break out into a full body sweat. And with that current, there's almost always an emotion: grief, fear, sadness, anger, loneliness. I started to realize the emotion was connected to whatever memory or trauma was stored inside that landmine, and the body was still holding on to it. It could have been a few days ago or a few decades. For example, one time I was working on my daughter Tiana. She's a dedicated runner, runs almost every day. I'm working on the front of her thigh, and I come across one of these landmines. The muscle is trembling, almost cowering under my hands. It feels scared, like it's bracing for pain. And I say, Tiana, what's going on here? This part of your leg feels like it's afraid of you. And she sighs and says, yeah, I know what that is. I haven't been nice to it. It's been hurting, but I keep running anyway. So we stay with it. We spend time just being with her leg. She apologizes to it, promises a break, and the muscle softens, like it just needed to be heard. Another time, this one was more dramatic. I'm massaging a client's neck. I'm feeling fear, not just regular fear, but life or death kind of fear, something I'd never felt before. This current of emotion surges through my body, and it's making me so uncomfortable. It's upsetting my whole system. To cope with how uncomfortable I am, I start nervously chatting to him, saying things like, I'm feeling sadness here. Yeah, very sad, really sad area. He's clearly annoyed by my talking, but I don't stop. I'm too uncomfortable, and I don't know how else to handle it. Finally, the feeling gets so overwhelming, I just blurt out, "Did you get into a fight or something?" And he says, "Yeah, actually, right where you're massaging, I got stabbed in the neck." And I'm like, whoa. And honestly, two thoughts hit me at once. One, whoa, I got it right. And two, holy crap, he got stabbed in the neck. How do I even deal with that? So that's an example where an emotion came shooting through me like electricity. And that wasn't the only thing I'd feel in those moments. In addition to getting blasted with a current of energy, there was something else that sometimes happened when I came upon these landmines. I'd see a vision. Sometimes it was just a flash, a vignette, a quick image, or a little scene playing out, like a boy cowering behind a couch while his father screamed at his brother, or the face of an angry parent. Other times it was more abstract, bright orange kites, tractors, or once I saw the word Ireland written across someone's forehead. Sometimes those visions told a deeper story. For example, one time I was massaging a woman and I got this incredibly strong image of a helicopter associated with a father figure, and it came right at the beginning of the massage. Since it was so early in the session, I didn't want to let her know I was picking anything up. So I casually asked, "What does your dad do for a living?" I was expecting something like military or pilot, something that would explain it. But she said, "He's a dentist." And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's not it. But the image wouldn't go away. It was still there, clear and strong. So I asked, "What about your grandfather?" And she said, "He was a lawyer." Still nothing. So finally, I just said, "Look, for some reason, I'm getting a very strong image of a helicopter associated with a father figure. Do you have any idea why I would be getting this image?" And she just started crying. It turns out her father-in-law had been in a terrible bike accident and had to be airlifted to the hospital by helicopter. It happened 8 years earlier, and the anniversary of it was that same week. It gave me chills. It still gives me chills. Those visions came often in the beginning. They were never predictable, but they were always powerful. And over time, I started to realize something. I didn't need the visions to do the work. The body already knew what it needed. I just had to listen and learn how to help it release what it was ready to let go of. Eventually, I developed a simple 4-step process, something that I could teach clients to do with me to help the body release what it was holding. And that's what I'm going to share with you in the next episode. So as we wrap up episode 6 of Coding Wellness, I'll leave you with this question. What's one area of your body that's been feeling off lately? And what do you think it might be trying to tell you? If you feel like sharing, come tell me about it in the comments on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to hear. Thank you for listening to Coding Wellness, created and hosted by me, Mary Toscano. I hope today's episode gave you valuable insights and inspiration for your own path. You can follow Coding Wellness on Instagram and Facebook. Please rate and review the podcast, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. This podcast is meant to be listened to in order. Each episode builds on the last. So if you're just jumping in, I encourage you to go back and start from the beginning. Take care, and remember, there is extraordinary potential that lies within all of us. Each one of us has talents and gifts uniquely our own, and a place where we shine the brightest. The more we live from this place, the happier we are. And remember, life, like software, can be debugged, rewritten, and optimized. Bye for now.